was telling somebody that the other day. He said, "You only as old as you feel." He said, "Well, when it's cold, I feel old. When it's warm, I feel young." So, heck, whatever you feel. Amen. We're going to talk a little bit tonight, and so I'm not going to keep you long. We'll see. But y'all have heard me minister this before. I'll talk tonight about supernatural breakthrough and what it is that we need to see in our lives. And what is a supernatural breakthrough? It's a breakthrough in the supernatural. I mean, come on. It's pretty easy, right? But how are you going to get that supernatural breakthrough? How are you going to get that breakthrough you need? Setting an atmosphere. It's like a while ago when I was talking about the faith and having faith. That's how we begin to move things. But when we want to see a supernatural breakthrough, we have to learn how to set an atmosphere for God to be able to work in our lives, and have to set the atmosphere for Him to be able to come in and move and do what it is He's doing. And there's different ways and avenues of setting an atmosphere for supernatural breakthrough in our lives. And one of the things that we don't do a lot of, that I've learned over the years to do, because I've heard so many people minister on it. But when I forgot where exactly it was in the Word, I didn't go look it up, so I can't give you verse and scripture for it right now. But it talks about the angels being ministering spirits, and it asks, are they not all ministering spirits? What are they ministering to? Well, number one, they minister to us. But we're supposed to dispatch them to go out and minister for us. They begin to help set an atmosphere for us as well. And I become conscious in my mornings when I get up in the morning, I'm getting ready to go somewhere. When we begin to pray for the day, I begin to send the ministering angels to go before me to set an atmosphere for me. Begin to set an atmosphere where there's great favor for my life. You got me? So when we want to see a supernatural breakthrough in our lives, we've got to set an atmosphere. We've got to, on purpose, set a way of having an atmosphere. A lot of the ways that we set an atmosphere is just how our day-to-day is, what we do on a daily basis of praise and worship and getting up and praying and just setting an atmosphere. And it's like I tell you, when you get up in the mornings, if you roll out of the wrong side of the bed, you need to get back in and roll out the other side, because it's the precedence of what you just come out of your mouth or your attitude when you get up in the morning, and what it is you're setting forward is setting the atmosphere for your day. And so if you want a supernatural breakthrough in your day and you need to set an atmosphere, what kind of atmosphere are you fixing to set? Now, some of this will sound like old hat and the same thing going over and over and over, but some people still need to catch it, and we still need to be reminded at times. How are you going to get your supernatural breakthrough? Every one of us in here want to see some things shift in our lives. We all got things we want to see God work on. We got things we want to see things be moved and shifted. How do we do that? It's by calling in for that supernatural breakthrough, but it's up to us and the faith that we have to set it in motion, despite what we're seeing. Most people set their atmosphere by what they're seeing, what they're feeling, what their natural, what's going on right now. It's how they begin to set the atmosphere of their day, set the atmosphere for the moment, whatever's going on. Tracy dropped a hammer and hit her toe. Now she's mad. So now the atmosphere is set because she's mad. She's letting this just kind of wash over her. Somebody called Lisa up and just berated her over something other. So now she allowed this situation to begin to dictate the rest of her day and begins to set the atmosphere of what's going on with her. Many of us fall in these categories because we're not paying attention. We get caught up in the moment. We get caught up in the day-to-day moments. We get caught up in what's happening now instead of saying, put the brakes on it and say, nope, we're stopping right here. I'm going to set the atmosphere. I'm on purpose going to set an atmosphere for God to be able to work here because I need a breakthrough. The enemy comes in so subtly and so slightly and starts feeding us these little things, and we take them, and we don't. At times, if you're not mindful by the Spirit, we'll let these things slip by, and we're not watching it and paying attention to what's going on in the Spirit. Then when all hell breaks loose, we're trying to figure out what happened. You set an atmosphere for it. We opened up the door and allowed all of this to come in and begin to just bow us over and roll us over because of an atmosphere we just set. But when we get to that place in life where despite what we see, despite what we hear, sometimes even despite what you feel, because we'll feel a lot of things, but despite how we feel, we begin to set an atmosphere for a supernatural breakthrough. And I can very easily take you to Acts chapter, go to Acts chapter 16. And a lot of y'all know the scriptures. We sing songs about this and everything else, and it's all about Paul and Silas. We'll start in verse 22. So then the multitude rose up together against him, and the magistrates tore off their clothes and commanded them to be beaten with rods. Was anybody in here been commanded to be beat with rods? I'm not talking about spanking you guys as a kid. I'm talking about somebody coming in and beating you with rods because of what you're preaching, what you're teaching. They said when they had laid many stripes on them, and then they threw them into prison, commanding the jailer to keep them securely. So having received such a charge, he put them in the inner prison and fastened their feet in the stocks. Most people would stop right there. I've been beat with rods. I'm mad. Now they're going to throw me in the deepest part of the prison and lock me up. I'm done. And they'll let this atmosphere that they're in, the dictation of what's happening now, dictate the atmosphere which they're setting and allow to stay. Some of us can't even get up in the morning and look at our day to go to work, and we allow the thought of going somewhere, allow the thought of something, go ahead and dictate our day and set our atmosphere. We ain't even got nothing hit us yet. And we're allowing a thought pattern to begin to set the atmosphere for our day. We know what to say when somebody asks us. Go ask Miss Chris how she's, oh, how you doing, Miss Chris? How you been? I'm blessed and highly favored. That's going to come out of her mouth. We know what to say. Every one of us know what to say. But do we truly know how to set the atmosphere for the supernatural breakthrough that's there for us? Are we just giving lip service for everybody to hear? But are we truly setting an atmosphere and giving something for God to work with in our lives? Let's start there at verse 25. It said, but at midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. I'm kind of like Lisa. I've done a hard time. Been arrested once in my life, but I never spent time behind bars. You got me? I didn't do the hard time. I think I was there a little over 4 hours, but the deal is, you know, at the moment, it didn't seem like there was nothing there to just be happy about. And so, you know, you're looking at this, and I want him to ask Jason, where you been? Jason's like, I've been there. But the deal is they've been beaten and they've been thrown in the deepest part of the jail. And I mean, and by all accounts, by you looking at their situation, it would be they got the ride. No. But what they did do is they began to pray and sing hymns unto God. Now, you've got people that's watching them. It even tells you that the prisoners were listening to them. Now, think about the people in your life that are listening to you. We got people in our lives that are watching us, what the things that we go through, the situations we're in, the things that will pop up, and the things that would take people out. People are watching your lives. What comes out of your mouth? What do you begin to do? I used to think people were crazy when something other happened. They'd be like, praise God. Glory. I'm thinking, did you just hear what they said? Did you see what happened? And that's what comes out of your mouth, really. But it is beginning to set an atmosphere for that supernatural breakthrough that is needed in the moment. Despite what's being seen, despite what's being felt, despite maybe what you're feeling on the inside, you may even be feeling it on your body. These guys were beat with rods. And it says they laid many stripes on them, not a few. But it says it laid many stripes upon them with rods, been beaten with rods, thrown in the jail, shackled up, and about midnight they're praying and singing. Most of us would be bound up in the corner. Oh, woe is me. Would have an Eeyore mentality. Oh, woe is me. Look what they've done to me. God, can you believe this? And begin to blame somebody else or him for our situation at hand. But the deal is they began to set an atmosphere. Despite what was happening, they were happy. How many of us would be beat, thrown in jail, and be happy about it? If you go back and see and listen, they were out preaching the gospel. That's why they were there to begin with. They were happy. So, but at midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. It said, and then suddenly, there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's chains was loosed. Why? Because of the atmosphere that was set for a supernatural breakthrough to take place. There's many accounts in the Bible where you can go through and look at different ones, and I've taught over them over different times. But good Lord, look at Daniel. The things that Daniel went through, throw it in the lion's den. It'd be easy to look at the fact and say, I'm going to be eaten. But in faith, he stepped out doing what he was doing and saying, I'm here. He set an atmosphere. He set an atmosphere, and God was able to come supernaturally close the mouths of the lions that they did not touch him. There was not one scratch found on him. There was no harm found on him at all. Look at the 3 Hebrew children that were thrown in the fire. They set an atmosphere and was not willing to compromise and bow down and give over to things that were happening. They were not willing to take what they believed, even though they were looking at imminent death, and saying, I'm not going to change what it is I do, and allow the supernatural breakthrough to take place. Now, we have accounts of it because we get to read it, but they're sitting there in a jail cell at this time. They don't know what's fixing to happen, but they're setting an atmosphere. We know what happens because we get to read it. Amen. But they're sitting there shackled up, and they're being beaten, and they're sitting there together, and they're praying, and they're singing. I think it's part of the Bible where it talks about, greet one another with songs and hymns. Why? It's to lift your spirits. Why? It's to boost your faith. Why? It's to help set an atmosphere. And it's times of coming together like that where they're coming together and though they're feeling the issues, though they're feeling the pressures of the world, though they've been beaten, though they've been thrown in the middle of the jail cell and the deepest part of the dungeons, they still set in an atmosphere for God to work. Now, I'm not sitting there with them. I don't know what's going through their mind, but I guarantee they were probably thinking, well, hey, we're sitting here and we got a captive audience. Literally. You don't want me preaching out there? I'll preach in here. You don't want me talking about Jesus out there? I'm going to talk about him in here. You want to shut me up out there? I'm going to let him have it in here. But begin to set an atmosphere for him to be able to work, and God was able to supernaturally have a breakthrough in their lives. And it says not only did they get free, but everybody else. It says the chains were loosed. Everybody's chains were loosed. Everybody was set free.
Yeah, amen.
Why? It's because they had the ability to say, I want to see a supernatural breakthrough, and set an atmosphere for it. We aren't seeing in our own lives, if we're not seeing how to have supernatural breakthroughs, it's because we're not walking in faith. We're not stepping out into things of faith, and we're not allowing God to be able to do what it is he in our lives because we're not stepping out and giving him something. It's like I was talking about a while ago, he responds to faith. And we have to step out and we have to literally give God something to work with. Because God doesn't push past anything. He's a gentleman. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force you to do anything, but he's steadily waiting for you to open your mouth. He's steadily waiting for you to say something. He's steadily waiting for you to take some steps in the right direction and take some steps in faith and say, hey, I can work with this. But we've got situations in our lives. Every one of us have got things we look at on a daily basis, sometimes a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever the case is. We got things we look at. Where are things we feel? And I'm not talking about just the day-to-day bills and stuff. I'm talking about just things that rise up and come up. Though you can have supernatural breakthrough over your bills and finances and everything else. But I'm talking about we got just different things that we look at. And things that come up throughout the week or throughout the month or throughout the year. Things that come at us. And it's our attitude and how we respond is going to dictate how the atmosphere is set and how well it's going to work for us. And what the outcome is going to be. There are some of us that it's just grace and mercy of God that we've gotten through some of the things we get through. Amen. I mean, literally, I've felt like I've come in by the skin of my teeth. If there's actually skin on your teeth. I mean, literally felt like I've just been dragged through everything, but it was just the mercy of God that I made it where I was going. And then there's other times where I've just absolutely failed and faltered and there was no way around it anymore. It's because I wasn't giving an atmosphere for the supernatural to be able to break through in my life because I was denoting everything that God was even trying to do in my life, and I was cutting it down and making it null and void in my life because I was feeling. And I can very simply kind of put this out there for you. A lot of times when we get sick, we begin to feel stuff in our body. We begin to feel the pains. We begin to feel the aches. We feel the things coming on. What's your response? What's your response? What's your response? Is it one of faith? Is it one of an atmosphere that God can come in and actually begin to work in your life on a supernatural level to give you some breakthrough in some area? Or do you, I feel this. I'm living with this. This is what's happening to me. Now, it doesn't change the fact you're feeling something. You got me? If issues are going on in your body, it doesn't change the fact you're feeling something. But what atmosphere are you given to be able for a supernatural breakthrough to take place for healing? A lot of y'all heard my testimony about one of the kidney stones and all that was messing with me, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. Thank God I had a wife that thought like Smith Wigglesworth. Because I was feeling what was going on with me, and it hurt. You got me? It hurt. And that pain got me to where I wasn't thinking correctly. Though I knew what to say, I wasn't believing it. Though I knew what to say, I was too busy focusing on what was going on. Like I said, I had my Smith Wigglesworth wife reach up, pop me right in the back. Kind of like you did, but only a lot harder. But having in, and I would begin to say things, and she would very quickly begin to help correct me and saying, "You know better than that." I was like, "Yeah, dude," but I would just, my mind was such a swirl because of the pain, but I wasn't setting an atmosphere for a supernatural breakthrough in my life because I was feeling what it was. So I was spitting everything out of my mouth how I felt. I was letting everything just, and it was just yuck, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And because I was feeling it, I was letting it happen. I wasn't putting the brakes on it. I wasn't setting an atmosphere for God to be able to come in and do anything different. So it's because I was agreeing with what was going on with my body instead of telling it can't stay here no more. I'm no longer agreeing with it. Now, once I caught that revelation, it didn't stay long. You got me? It didn't stay very long. Because not only did I have my little wife coming in there, I also had my apostle coming in. and corrected me very quickly. Now, I'm not against modern medicine. Y'all don't get me wrong. I needed some relief. That's the whole reason why I went to the hospital. Morphine wasn't doing nothing for me, but I sure like pushing that button because it sure made me feel better. And the way my body metabolizes stuff, pain medicine don't work very long with me anyway, but I needed some relief, but I got just enough relief to clear my mind to be able to, oh God, and begin to set an atmosphere for that supernatural breakthrough that I needed so that I was able to look at the doctor and tell him what was going to happen because this and this and this ain't happening because I'm believing for my healing. And he's kind of like, okay. He didn't know what else to do. So he just agreed with me. Hey, 2 or more agree, it is done. You know, my wife's already touched me, so I know we're good to go. But beginning to set an atmosphere, but too many of us just these simple little things like this where we sit in and I'm taking the sickness as a deal because so many of us will see it and we deal with it at times. And it comes on and it tries to invade our bodies. What atmosphere do we want to see a breakthrough, or are we going to let it stay? I mean, we know people that have been through cancers and come out the other side and watch this stuff go on. Look at Miss Evelyn. My word, she's been through it twice. Stage 4 both times, I believe, and walked that process out, believing for her healing. Same deal. Modern medicine come along, help clear her mind, get the pain down long enough for her to clear her mind and say, I want to live. And begin to set in an operation of faith and say, I want to live and not die because God has healed me. And then all of a sudden now she's beginning to set in an atmosphere for faith and then get a supernatural breakthrough. Enemy tried to come around and slip it in again. She didn't take it. And I do the same thing even now when I feel that tinge in my back. Say, oh, heck no. Ain't happening. No. Not here. Not going to happen. Because I'm already beginning to set that atmosphere very quickly. God, you've already done it once. You do it again. I ain't dealing with that. I wouldn't wish that pain on nobody. It was funny. We got to minister this here not too long ago as well with Pastor Cameron and Tanya because he was dealing with the same thing. And he had to go to the doctor. Same thing. He was just so much pain and agony. He just didn't know what to do. I wasn't able to talk to him, but I was talking with Pastor Tanya. I'm going to tell her, so look, this is what you do. Begin to declare this over him, and we'll stand in agreement with you and declare these things. This thing's obliterated, nothing there. And so he went and dealt with the doctor's dead, and then they sent him home, and then he come back, took the x-rays, couldn't find nothing. They sent him home with a little screen, couldn't find nothing in there. They're like, we don't know what happened to it. So, same thing that happened to mine. I got obliterated. Why? Because it's what I called for. I set an atmosphere and allowed spiritual breakthrough to be able to come over and take over. And these are just, you would almost look at them as like simple things, but so many people get stopped right there. I can have faith for you, but I can't have faith for me. I can believe for you, but I can't believe for me. Well, if I can't believe for me, it's not going to be real good for me to try to believe for you. I remember the first time I watched a man of God look at somebody and says, I don't want you praying for me. Yeah. You don't want me praying for you? It's because you have faith. You won't be believing what's coming out of your mouth, he said, because I'm hearing what you're saying. I don't want you praying for me. In fact, I don't want you to lay hands on me. Don't even mention my name if you can't do it in faith. That sounds harsh. Let's go ahead and cut the head off the snake before that comes up, because I'm setting an atmosphere. I know what I want. I know what I'm after. I need supernatural at all times in my life, and these breakthroughs coming through for me at all times. You need to shut up if you can't pray right over me. I said, and this sounds harsh. But I've also watched this same man walk into a hospital once before with somebody that had brain cancer. Come in, and everybody, the whole family just called him in. It's like, he's dead anyway. And he walked into this hospital and sat in there with this guy, and this man didn't speak a lick of English. Could not understand anything going back and forth between them. But he knew by the Spirit, laid hands upon his head, and they just pretty much asked him, you want to live or die? The man indicated he wanted to live. He began to lay hands on him and pray. And this junk began to ooze out of his ears. I mean, just a thick, nasty ooh. This man hadn't sat up in bed in months, sat up. and began to want something to eat, and that's something they hadn't done in months. Why? It's because all of a sudden there was an atmosphere set up with faith for a supernatural breakthrough to take place that nobody else had. And so it sounds simple, and it is. It's just that simple. But we have to set the atmosphere, and we have to do it by faith. Everything that we do, we have to do by faith. Everything we want to see change, we got to see it by faith. And we can use it in the smallest things up to the biggest things. But if you can't use it in the small things, you'll never use it in the big things. And if you wait till the big things happen, you ain't got enough equity built up with inside yourself to be able to use anything. You got me? I pray over myself all the time. It don't matter what it is. If I feel something, if I feel anything, despite what I sound like, anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let my body have it. By the Spirit, I'm gonna let my body have it. Oh, heck no, this ain't happening. And I begin to declare over my own body. And I don't listen to people when they say you sound sick. I ain't. I'm the heel of the Lord. Just shut up. You just almost a righteous indignation rise up inside of you. Don't tell me what I sound like. I didn't ask you. But you begin to learn how to walk in the small things like that. Boom. Even at times in my life where things would be short on paychecks and stuff like that, and you're looking at, what do I do here? What do I do here? Well, instead of getting in fear over the thing because it ain't going to help none, begin to get in faith. God, you see the need. You see what it is I'm needing. You see what it is. I'm trying to work and take care of my family, and it seems like I'm always short in these areas. I need help. And begin to set an atmosphere for supernatural breakthrough and watch God come over time and time again and get me to the other side to where I finally learn, hey, just declare over your finances. Instead of waiting until there, go ahead and declare over them before you get them and watch what he can do with them. But begin to setting an atmosphere of faith for yourself, but faith for the supernatural breakthrough to take place in our lives. It becomes very easy. But how many times have you even gone and laid hands on somebody wondering if it's actually going to happen? How many times have you went and laid hands on somebody that's they ask you to come pray for them for a sickness or whatever, and you go lay hands on them, but even within inside yourself, you're wondering if it's really going to happen. Or what if it doesn't happen? There's no atmosphere for the supernatural breakthrough to take place. We got to go to God just like kids come to us. Those of us that are parents have had kids, and some of us even that work with kids all the time, you'll have kids come up to you and they just trust you, everything that you are. Why? Because you're an adult and you know things. I said the stuff that my boys used to jump off of and just holler, Daddy, I better be ready. Why? There wasn't a thought in their mind as to whether I was going to miss them. There was never a thought. There was never a process that went through them. Why? Because they had all faith in their daddy. And even now, when they come up and ask me for my debit card or something like that, they have all faith that I've got that card, and I'm going to give it to them and go let them do what it is they need to do. Sometimes I'll be like, your limit's this. Well, they come to us because they're wanting things and needing things, and they have faith in mom and daddy that they're going to take care of them. They have faith in mom and daddy that they're going to do what it is that they say they're going to do as parents of raising them and making sure they got what they need. Well, it's the same thing with God. When we go to God, we should go as like children. There should be no question as God will you. There should never be a question in your mind of God will you. Is it in his will? It's like I've taught you before. Does it pertain? Does it pertain to life and godliness? Does it pertain? Is it in his will? Then there's no question. It's already ours. We just go on and make a requirement of it. You hear people talking about you go and ask God. You don't ask God for anything. You go and require what he's already given you. You never ask for something that's already given to you. You just go and make a demand on it. Hey, that's mine. Make a requirement. You don't go to God like, give me what's mine. But you make a requirement on what he's already given you. And if the word tells us that we're already healed, that means I'm already healed. So if anything is coming on me and it's trespassing. So I'll serve it notice. If I'm blessed, it means I'm already blessed. I ain't looking for a blessing, trying to get a blessing. I just go be a blessing. And I make a demand on the blessing to be mine. If you read in the Word and it talks about the blessings of Abraham are yours, well, if you don't know who Abraham is, maybe you want to go read the story of Abraham, see what's his and what he was blessed with, and now you know what's yours. Now you know what to make a requirement of. So that's the deal. Is most of us don't know what to make a requirement on. We don't know how to set an atmosphere because we don't know what to require. We're too busy waiting for somebody to preach it for us, or we're too busy waiting on somebody to tell us what it is instead of actually going and looking for it ourselves. So how are you going to make a requirement on something you don't know? How are you going to set an atmosphere for something other if you don't know how? Well, hopefully enough of us are smart enough to at least go ask. I'll tell you what, I quickly shut people down when they begin to come to me and ask me for prayer and then want to tell me how to pray. I need you to pray this. No. I'm going to listen to what God has said, and what God says about the situation is what I'm going to pray. I'm going to listen to his heart. What has God said about this? Now, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. You'll have people come up, would you pray with me and agree with me on this? Listen, does it line up with the Word of God? Okay, I'll agree with you. But people come up to you saying, I need you to pray this. No. I'm going to listen to what the Word of God is. Where is faith at on this? Because if you ain't got faith in it, why am I going to bother praying for you? If you're trying to get it done on my faith, it's only going to work as far as my faith will go for you, because as soon as something else twists and then it's going out again. So you're trying to live on somebody else's faith when God's already given you faith, but you want to see supernatural breakthroughs. And a lot of us have been guilty of that, including myself, of trying to live on somebody else's breakthroughs and faith to help me. And it'll work for a while, but we got to learn how to get to that place where, hey, I got faith. I need to let it grow. I need to set an atmosphere to watch it grow. I need to sit in a place and make sure that this is growing where it needs to be so that I can do these things. Every one of us in here have been in a place where we've seen something happening by the Spirit, what's laying on the hands and immediate healings, or immediate manifestations of the Spirit and the things going on. Thinking, man, I wish I had that. I want it. But we ain't even willing to have faith to see it happen. We won't even have faith to make sure it go away. And if somebody says, why don't you go lay hands on somebody? See, what happened was is I didn't really want to. I don't want to put myself out there like that. I don't want nobody to see me do it. I don't know if that'll work. Preaching to the choir, I know. But I remember the first time the apostle would call me up and go lay hands on people, and I'm like, "So, are you sure about this, sir? Do you know what kind of week I've had?" And there would be times he'd come up to me, so you better release what you got, boy. Turn it loose. Get in faith. Sometimes it almost sounded harsh, but he was grooming me. I understand now. But there would be times I'd be having hands on people, and I'm just hoping somebody else had got some faith, because I sure didn't. Brother Paul, play for him. Oh, I am. I don't fall over, sit down or something, so I'm going to sit down. I'm being real. Now, I don't want nobody praying for me like that. But you learn when you get to the places where you got to set an atmosphere and watch God take over, watch God give him room. But it's all about what we give him. It seemed like that song we were singing earlier about when you walk into the room, and we've told you this many times, turn that around. When you walk into the room, because we're carrying the very presence of God with us, when you walk into the room, sickness starts to vanish. When you walk into the room, the dead begin to rise. Why? It's because of an atmosphere you've set in the presence of God of which you carry. It has to. But I've told y'all many, many times, and I'll keep saying it until we finally catch it and it actually happens. Nobody should ever be able to walk through these doors and be sick. The presence of God should be so strong and everything going on. It's like you ought to be like a sickness radar going off. done. Eradicated before they make it through the door jam, and I'll be done. There shouldn't be a kid born in any school that any of us are in, including our own kids. If you don't even go to that school or around that school, if our kids are there, there should be no sickness there because of the very presence of God that our kids carry. But it starts with an atmosphere that we're setting, allowing our supernatural breakthroughs to take place here. I long for them nights and them days where we begin to have those supernatural breakthroughs that's happening in our ministry and what's going on, where we got miracles and things taking place. But it's got to get everybody to where they're gelling together and hearing and seeing, okay, the supernatural works of God are worked like this, and it works through faith. And it's not based on just one person. It's my faith. Because, I could pray for Lisa all day long. I could lay hands on her, and I could anoint her with oil, and I could just let her have everything I got. But she's got to receive it. And then she's still got to walk it out by faith. I've had people lay hands on me when I was sick, have issues going on in my body, have their hands laid on me, and walk away not feeling any different. But you know what? I'm claiming my healing. But I ain't going to say anything different. I've had those times where people laid hands on me and I even felt worse. But I was like, I'm walking out my healing. Then I learned how to set an atmosphere to actually capture my healing. But we have to learn how to set those atmospheres and allow God to be able to do what it is He's doing. But it's us setting the atmosphere. And we got to learn how to capture what it is and what God's wanting to do and wanting to flow and move through us. Well, how does He do that? It's through us. And we've got to open up those doors. We've got to allow Him to do what it is that He wants to do inside of us. And we have to give Him that place. We have to open those doors and say, come on in, God. Here I am. Let me work this faith thing you give me. Let's watch this thing grow. Let me water. Let's watch this thing bloom and blossom into what it is to be. Because every one of us here would talk about, we would love to have a ministry like Kenneth Hagin. We would love to be able to minister like Smith Wigglesworth. We would be able to love to have those big name people that we know and watch how their ministry was. And we would love to do it. Are we willing to do what it is they've done to get it? It's an atmosphere that was set. An atmosphere that was set. Going in with no doubting, going in with not thinking anything's not going to work. Because I promise you, if you go in thinking that something that you want from God's not going to work, it's not going to work. Well, it's because you're not actually working in faith, you're working in the maybes. Well, God's not in the maybes, God's in the faith. God didn't ask you for your maybes. He asked you for your faith. He needs the faith to work on. He needs His word backed up by faith, working towards what it is He wants to do. So He's not worried about your maybes. Because your maybes are going to go nowhere. They may work or they may not. But if you're on maybe side, then it means you're talking things contrary to what God would say anyway, so you're already out of line, so it's not going to work for you. But to have a supernatural breakthrough in our lives, we have got to set an atmosphere on purpose and walk it out. So just think to yourself for a moment, what kind of breakthrough are you looking for? What kind of breakthrough do you need in your life right now? What are you looking for? What are you needing from God? What do you want to see happen? And begin to put your faith on it. Begin to tell God, I'm putting my faith on this. You watch. I'm gonna put my faith on this. I'm gonna grow it, and I want to watch you come through with it. Because everything that I do, I walk out by faith. At least I tell myself I do. Sometimes despite what I'm seeing, despite what I'm feeling, despite what I may be hearing, whatever the case may be, I am walking this out by faith. Being a pastor of a church, we're walking everything out by faith. Everything we see taking place and even the things we would hear, we still walk things out by faith, believing the best for everything. And I'm not going to listen to anything different or listen to anything contrary. What does God say about this? I know what He said. This is what I'm putting my faith on. This is what I'm going to see take place. The breakthrough is going to happen, and I'm going to be there to watch it. So looking in your own life, where do you need to see a supernatural breakthrough? What are you willing to put your faith on, and what are you willing to watch God do in the midst of this? What kind of room are you going to give him to do what it is he does? And if you ain't got much faith working, start with the little things. Like I said, many people wait till there's something massive taking place, and also now they got to all of a sudden going to try to get in faith mode. Some things take a little perseverance. Some things take a little perseverance. Sometimes it takes a little push through. Sometimes it takes a little time to walk it out. Not everything is automatic within 5 seconds. And I've ministered on that many times about how we're a microwave society and want everything now. Well, sometimes somebody else's will's got to line up with God's as well to make certain things move through. But the deal is we line up, we start walking things out by faith. We give an atmosphere for the supernatural to take place. And I challenge you this week, go ahead and begin to release your ministering angels to go before you. Begin to bring things to you that you need. So what do you mean bring things? By the Spirit, send them out to release some things to come to you that you need. You need more finances in your life, send them out to go find it for you. Get it brought to you, show you the paths of which it is to take. You need some more favor in your life, send them out to set the atmosphere for you before you get there so that you have an atmosphere of favor and believe it when you get there. Send them out. I've heard people minister on that. I can't even think of his name now, but he's talking about, he said, so many of us Christians got angels that do this. They've got nothing else to do. You're not sending them to do anything. You're not giving them anything to do. They're ministering angels. They're not getting to minister. And they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs because we're not releasing them to go out and do what it is that God's called them to do, just like a lot of us sitting around not doing what God's called us to do. And so the angels are sitting there twiddling their thumbs as well, waiting to be released to go do what it is that they're called to do. Release them boogers. I want to dispatch so many that God's got to send me whole nother legion. You know what I mean? I want to have so much going in my favor and so much coming for me that because I've releasing so much and got my ministering angels going out, and God's like, oh, send him another legion. Go ahead and take Skylar. They're twiddling their thumbs. Send them over to Pastor. They can use them. I know. But you know what I mean? I challenge you this week in your prayer time, when you get up in the mornings, when you get ready to start your day, on purpose. If you go to bed at night, on purpose. Begin to release your ministering angels. Do it on purpose. They're for us. Who are they supposed to be ministering for? If you know, even when you read where Jesus was in the garden, it says the angels come and minister to him. The angels come and minister to him. They're to come minister to us and go out and minister for us. Setting an atmosphere. Setting an atmosphere. But I dare y'all to start releasing them suckers. I dare you. Sometimes you got to dare somebody for them to do anything because they won't think about it after the fact. But we have angels. I dare, everybody talking about the guardian angels. We always talk about guardian angels. I always figured mine was probably bald and he was going to pull his hair out and lost his feathers because of me. But, he's still kicking and kept me going. He'd be glad when Jesus comes. He's like, whew, my job is over. But we have ministering angels go before us. Let's release them. Let's let them go before us, begin to set in this atmosphere. And on purpose, begin to look at the stuff in your life that's going on, the things you know need to see some change in. Set an atmosphere, put faith on it, and keep faith on it, and watch what God does with it. Set the atmosphere for something to truly change for you. Need to see some healing take place in your body. Put some faith on it. Even if you're swallowing the aspirin for the pain, keep your faith on it.
Yeah, amen.
Take the pills by faith. That's what you mean. I'm taking these aspirin because but you don't rule me. I'm just using you to ease the pain, but you don't rule me, and I'm no longer going to be taking you for very much longer. Do it by faith. You ain't, God ain't kicking you out because you're taking pills. But don't have your faith in the pills. Don't have your faith in the medicine. Have your faith in Him, the healer. Don't have faith in your job. Have faith in the one who supplies what your needs are. Don't have faith in anything but Him. He supplies all for us. He gives us avenues. But when you start putting your faith in something else besides Him, then you've lost your sight. There's no longer an area where supernatural breakthrough can take place for you because your faith is now pointed in something else. There's many people alive on the face of the earth today now that their faith is in the pills they take every day. It helps with the pain. It helps keeping them live longer. It helps them do this. It helps them do that. And so they've learned how to live with the pills, and their faith is in the pills instead of in God. You can still take the pills talking to them. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when I was having them kidney issues, they had me on all kinds of stuff. And I was talking to them things. And I quit them after a couple of days. By Holy Ghost, I listened to Him. I didn't just up and quit them. Well, some of the things were making me feel worse when I took them than what it was doing my body any good. It's like, well, I'm going to quit taking them. But by faith, I was speaking to them things. I may be taking you now, but in a couple of days, you're done. My faith ain't in you. Using it to ease the pain, but not able to function the way I needed to. But my faith was in my healing, and I walked it out and watched it happen. Supernaturally, breakthrough. So look in your life. What are you needing? What are you looking for? Give God some room. Put some faith on it. Let's watch that supernatural breakthrough take place for you. Amen. Sarah, why don't you come release them? Y'all don't want to miss Wednesday. Wednesday's gonna be good.
Dear Heavenly Father, I praise you and thank you for everything that you've done. We take this word tonight, Lord, and we utilize it, Lord. Lord, that we understand that you have given angels charge over us, Lord. You have given us the authority to use our angels, Lord. Help us to understand, Lord, that we listen to Holy Spirit when it comes to what you would have us send our angels out to do, Lord. And that we continue to grow stronger in it and releasing our angels. And I thank you that this is going to be the best and most wonderful week that we've ever had. And we are going to walk out, come back to service together on Wednesday night, and it's going to be better in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.